Hello and welcome on board. You're watching Eye on Africa and I'm Clarisse Fortuny. 15 presidential candidates in Senegal urged President Macky Sall to quickly establish a new poll date. Meanwhile, more political prisoners are released. Old methods to face new challenges due to climate change. A Tunisian farmer is experimenting using ancestral seeds. February 21st is International Mother Tongue Language Day. We'll take you to a school in Kenya that's using a blend of local languages away from European models. 15 candidates in Senegal delayed presidential election say they want to take action to ensure a new poll date is swiftly established. The government said last week it would abide by the top court decision that cancelled the election postponement. The Justice Ministry also released in the last week more than 300 political prisoners. Most of them were arrested during protests between March 2021 and June 2023. So why release them now, and what does this mean for the country? Sam Peace explains from Dakar.
The release of these political prisoners comes at a moment of great social tension here in Senegal. Recent weeks have seen deadly clashes following the announcement from the President Macky Sall that he would delay an impending presidential election. When announcing the release of some 350 prisoners, the Justice Minister said that the move reflects the will of the President to appease the country. She said that the release of these prisoners was conditional and also said that the cases of high-profile opposition leaders still in detention, like Ousmane Sonko, for example, would be examined on a case-by-case basis. I spoke to a group representing some of the prisoners. It said that it believes the government has exaggerated the true number to have been released and said it would take the government to court to seek compensation for more than 1,000 prisoners that it believes were arbitrarily detained. Meanwhile, another group representing the prisoners emphasised to me that the conditions in detention are deplorable and said that some of the prisoners had been tortured.
And staying in Senegal, the ferry journeys between Dakar and Ziguinchor have been suspended for the last 7 months. The route was closed by the government amid political turmoil following the condemnation of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko, who was also the mayor of Ziguinchor. The town's economy depends largely on maritime trade. Eliman Dao and Sam Peace.
The Aline Sitoé Diatta has been stuck at port since June 2023 after being taken out of service by the government. It would normally undertake voyages to Ziguinchor, a major city in the southern Casamance region, where the route closure has been hard felt.
We have been stuck for 8 months. Business has slowed down. We don't see anyone. We have never experienced anything like this in Ziguinchor. Ever since the boat stopped, we have sold almost nothing.
Each week, this boat, one of 3 ferries to service the Dakar-Ziguinchor route, would transport more than 900 passengers. Many port workers have lost their jobs and can't understand the government's decision.
No one has explained why this is happening. No one. Everyone who we ask just says there are no boats without further explanation. There are 400 to 500 dock workers without any work.
Farmers in Casamance are currently unable to send their produce, cashew nuts, mangoes, palm oil and fish, to markets in Dakar. Local taxi drivers have said the route closure has had a knock-on effect on them too.
With clients coming from Dakar, there was always so much activity around the port, so we were always busy. But look at it now, there is no one. We really want the boats to come back.
Last month, the Prime Minister announced a plan to bring the Aline Sitoé Diatta back into service, but authorities here in Ziguinchor are unable to provide a firm date.
The United Nations Security Council have sanctioned 6 people from armed groups in eastern DR Congo as violence escalates between the army and the M23 rebels. In an emergency meeting, Robert Wood, American envoy to the UN, warned Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo that they must walk back from the brink of war.
Rwanda must end its support to M23. it must also withdraw Rwandan forces from Congolese territory and immediately remove any and all of its surface-to-air missile systems, which credible reporting indicates have been responsible for intentionally firing on the aerial assets of MONUSCO.
This issue must be resolved politically amongst Congolese. We will not accept this problem to be externalized into Rwanda by force once again. It should be well noted that any solution that doesn't cater for the root causes of the conflict in Eastern DRC will not last.
And meanwhile, the South African National Defence Force held a ceremony in Pretoria to officially hand over the remains of 2 soldiers killed in eastern DRC. They died in a mortar attack in the town of Sake on February 14th. The defense minister defended the decision to deploy troops in the region.
These are not the first 2 soldiers of South Africa that we have lost in the DRC. We have lost before. We have been here before. We have cried with families before.
To continue to ensure that there is peace and stability in Eastern DRC. And that is the reason why we're there. We are not warmongers. We're not going there because we love war. We're going there because of understanding the relativity of peace.
A Tunisian farmer is experimenting with old wheat varieties in order to adapt to the impact of climate change, such as drought. He believes they would help cope after years of scarce rains and heat waves that destroyed much of his crop last year. The idea is to produce crops all year round instead of just the summer. Clémence Valère tells the story.
Looking to crops from the past to secure the food of the future. That is the goal of Tunisian farmer Hassan Chetoui, who has been experimenting with old wheat varieties in a bid to adapt to climate change-induced droughts. He hopes that by using ancestral seeds, he will be able to harvest crops all year round.
These are the original seeds called Zanuba from soft wheats, suitable for foods. Generally, they're drought-resistant and adaptable to different seasons.
Chetoui's farm is located in the Borj Al Amri area of northern Tunisia, a region that was once known as a breadbasket for ancient Mediterranean civilizations such as Rome and Carthage. However, today, Tunisia is a net wheat importer, after years of drought scorching most of North Africa, left national reservoirs empty and fields dried up. Chetoui hopes that by avoiding reliance on a single summer harvest, he may be able to produce at least some wheat even in the bad years and avoid depending on foreign hybrid seeds.
Sterile and hybrid seeds are incompatible with the Tunisian environment, climate, global warming and drought. However, these original seeds have endured and, under all circumstances, can provide the lion's share of production.
Agricultural experts in Tunisia are skeptical that old wheat varieties will succeed in protecting farmers from the impact of climate change and point out that modern wheats produce far higher yields. However, they also say that older varieties may work better in certain areas or under specific conditions, and that Chetoui's experiments are worth undertaking.
February 21st is International Mother Tongue Language Day. This year focuses on multilingual education. So we went to a school in Kenya with an alternative approach to the country's Eurocentric educational model. It uses a blend of local languages and Afrocentric thinking. The institution was recently shortlisted for the world's Best School Prize, putting them among the top 10 schools worldwide in the Overcoming Adversity category. Olivia Bizot.
These students are learning about their culture in Kikuyu, while later they'll learn Meru, another of Kenya's 42 mother languages.
Indo nyingĩ iguaga wega na njiguaga ta niĩ nĩ Mũgĩkũyũ kuma tene ũbatairwo gũkorwo ũkĩaria nao tondũ mũtingĩka wĩra mũtaranyitana.
They pride themselves on the Afrocentric underpinnings of their curriculum, which teaches children to embrace and explore their African identities.
Teach me my mother tongue. I don't want to be colonized.
The principal, Utari Kinayo, hopes to expand the model across Kenya and the world.
These vast languages and vast cultures mean that we have more to offer because every culture, every community has jewels of intelligence of how to solve problems.
The government centralised the local language curriculum in 2018. Teaching mother tongues can have many benefits, including peace between communities, like the Pokot and Turkana in the north.
The two communities directly engaged local languages as a way of promoting a number of activities within the communities, inter-community activities, and therefore the aim was to make sure that peace was promoted because these were communities that traditionally had a lot of instances of conflict.
The Curriculum Institute has developed learning materials in 20 indigenous languages so far and plans to provide resources for all groups in the next 3 years.
So it's time for me to learn some Kikuyu or some Luo. Well, that's the end of this edition. Thank you for watching Eye on Africa on France 24. Stay tuned for more news.